This intro is extremely cinematic.
Does it not sound like a Disney movie to you?
100%.
Like right
100%.
as it's opening up, it's like it's got the cymbals crashing, like
very cinematic.
It's like I don't know. It's like Mulan. It's also like kind of like Kingdom Hearts. It's also
I'm
like
thinking Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Big Beauty and the Beast.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is another episode of Album Mode. We review a new album every single week. We look at the lyrics, the production, the overall aesthetic of the album, and how that album fits into the context of that artist's career. For all my people watching on YouTube, make sure you like this video, subscribe to us on our way to 5,000. We love the comments, no matter what you're saying. We appreciate you. My name is Adriel Smiley, a.k.a. AdrielSmiley.com, a.k.a. Adriel Smiley Official, a.k.a. The Godfather, and we are here with His Royal Highness, a.k.a. The Bunny, King Grant.
What's happening, people? We're back. Album Mode. This time we're reviewing The Last Dinner Party, Prelude to Ecstasy.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something. That's a great album name, by the way.
Facts.
Yeah, like it's just like a
Facts.
super type album name. They're an indie rock group.
Okay.
With some sprinkles of like Susie and the Banshees.
Okay.
Kate Bush. I would say that. I guess one of their producers is like the producer for like Arctic Monkeys. So
that's like James Ford, right?
Yeah,
their main producer. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a lot of good stuff influencing that's happening. But yeah. So Last Dinner Party, British girl group.
Yes.
Band that they don't even have a drummer. Do you know that?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. James did a lot of their drums on the album.
Yeah, they're a 5-piece band that doesn't include a drummer. They have to get like somebody else to do the drums for them. But unique, and a group that I discovered basically just trolling around on the interwebs. I'm on r/hip hop heads. I'm on r/indie heads. I'm on r/pop heads. Okay, I'm on the Discords, and this album, like articles just keep popping up about them. And then I was like, oh, this album's actually coming out soon. So I decided I would submit it to basically to our DMs being like, yo, maybe this should be the album that we're reviewing. And this is how it became the album we're reviewing. So The Last Dinner Party, Prelude to Ecstasy. Here we go.
Yeah, two things I want to mention off the top because there are all the rumors, of course. I feel like everyone's calling them a girl group or a girl band. They're just a band.
Just a band, yeah.
I think that's part of my confusion at first because I had heard the song, Nothing Matters. We're also going to talk about that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is them. So that was cool to have that kind of entry from that song. But all the articles are calling them, again, a girl group or a girl band. And that's very misleading. They're just a band. Okay.
Wait, when you say it's misleading, what do you mean by that?
I think girl group sounds more like New Jeans or Spice Girls. And they're just a band. Okay. Not that band is less, but we don't need to throw girl in front of it. Okay, yeah. Girls can play instruments too. And then last but not least, the original name was The Dinner Party. And they added the last because anyone knows Kamasi Washington, his jazz group's called The Dinner Party. And so a little bit of a beef there. Someone was here first. But I like that they kept it at least close to the original name because they did say in an interview, I think it was Abigail, that their whole genesis of the group started with the name. And that was like their guiding light in terms of, their manifesto, they called it, of creating the group was the name The Dinner Party. So I'm happy that, the name somewhat stayed the same. But The Last Dinner Party, and this is their debut project.
Yeah, which is crazy. They have been one of those bands that have gotten the tag industry plant. They've gotten the industry plant. I would say allegations.
Allegations, yes.
They're allegations because nobody really knows for sure. I think the lead singer, which is I believe Abigail, is the lead singer.
Yes.
There's stories, rumors about her being like a rich kid and going to like private school and stuff like that. And people are like, how do you go from a band that has no songs to debuting an album with like a major label, in England? And how is all this press just emerging? Right. So that's That's why they've gotten the. I would again want to say the allegations.
Allegations. At this point, it's allegations. They're very early. I think we're going to see maybe more work from them, the post rollout to confirm it. But I understood where everyone's coming from, because the more research I did on this band, the more I got into them. I said, this is a very unique situation. You know, for a band to be quote unquote, you know, touring, doing shows for years without putting any music out.
Yeah.
You know, most people can't sustain that, you know, financially.
Yeah.
And that's where the plant part comes in, is like maybe something is bankrolling this. Now, you know, two things can be true. I think that they could be just signed to the major and this is the way they want to put things out. But, you know, I think that their musicality makes me feel like it's less plantish.
Right.
Because I think that, you know, individually they're all very talented. As a group, they're very talented. And I think that, you know, how they had visions kind of for this band and this brand, they're on their own. You know, I think that maybe not to this scale, that's maybe the plantish part.
Yeah.
But I feel like this would have happened almost regardless. And then let's get to the meat of it. Nothing Matters. That's where the allegations took off. Because, you know, to have your first ever single be as big as that was, you know, them winning awards like Rising Star Brit Award, their song being featured in EA Sports FC.
Yeah.
These are a lot of label things going on. You know, it's like, okay, we're giving you all these looks. They're getting the Dominic Fike right now. So, you know.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dominic Fike, super industry plant. But I think that, you know, right now I'm probably not thinking they are. I would say that, you know, what they've accomplished musically makes me think that they're not an industry plant. And this actually reminds me of, you know, the mid-90s, early 2000s, when artists had, you know, to have a lot of talent to get signed in the first place.
Yes.
Or, you know, an amazing demo, you know, or even someone who got signed and you heard stories behind the scenes of how talented these people were just musically, regardless of the popularity.
Yeah.
And so I think they fit the bill in that way.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say the same thing, where I'm like, you know, they're kind of. It's weird that we have the term industry plant today, because in the 2000s, literally 2000s backwards, the way you release music was somebody from the label found you and trained you, and then spun you in A&R and all this type of stuff, and then you really start to release music, and they're like, oh wow, this person came out with X label, their debut single.
That was the only way you're getting out.
Yeah, that's how you were getting. That was like the template. That's actually how it progressed. Then we got to this point in like the 2010s where like everything is DIY. And also it's hip hop, right? So hip hop DIY was basically SoundCloud.
Yeah.
You burst on SoundCloud, you were dropping mixtapes and you're independent previously, right, to SoundCloud. So there is this like element of like, because of hip hop and the way that people became popular in hip hop, and then hip hop becoming the most, you know, powerful and prominent genre right now. Anything that doesn't like exist in that hip hop template that we understand, you're like, wait, how is this possible?
How is this
possible? How did you get on? You know, because you're like, who was the last hip hop artist that was just like on a label, burst out, and they were like, yes,
right away.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going so far back, but the closest I could think of was Diggy Simmons. When he got those industry, didn't see a Diggy Simmons reference coming.
Yeah,
on the last dinner party review,
right?
But I remember people saying him of like, okay, he had no songs, and all of a sudden he was signed to a major.
Yeah,
but you're right, that hasn't happened in a long time, and I think part of these allegations because the game has changed where labels aren't the ones putting you on. They want to kind of know that you're already on.
Yes,
somewhat,
exactly.
You know, and so that's why they stand out so much, because they had that bubble, almost like a carnal energy towards them, which is rare when you have no music out. You know, it's what everybody wants. I think a lot of artists would love that, but it's rare when you have no music out. So I think that is what makes them so unique.
But here's the thing: it's that they're a band, right? So what the thing is that you can do that other hip hop artists can't do is that you can do shows locally for years and never actually have like true songs out.
Yeah.
But you're playing because of your like notoriety in your like local scene or whatever. You can just have like a set. Like you can have a set that you play that's not on SoundCloud, not on Insta, not on anything, but it's original music, but it hasn't been fully released yet, right? And then somebody can spot you. We're basically, I feel like we're just like explaining like how people got identified in 2003 versus 2024. Because I think it's drastically different. It is drastically different.
And there's probably someone listening to this who's born in 2003.
Yeah.
So you're 100% right.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you could have like music that you've written that you're playing on your local scene, you're touring your local scene, and then somebody like spots you and they're like, yo, like this is actually really good. They notify their label. They're like, okay, let's sign them. Let's release their debut shit. They already have like a little bit of sizzle. They already have, they all played their own instruments, right? So it's not like you're just like crafting amateurs. Like these guys, these ladies.
Exactly.
Yeah, these people have been writing and doing music for years. So it's just the fact that they're actually coming out on a major. People are like, how? What the fuck? How's this possible? When you can, there is another way to be discovered.
There's other ways.
Yeah, there's other ways to be discovered.
And that's what they did. Abigail talked about that a lot, of them doing that purposefully, of they wanted to be known as a live show first. And that's something when we talk about production, I think comes up even in the intro. You know, the intro.
I love the intro, by the way.
The intro is amazing.
Yeah.
The intro is also the title track, but her saying so much of, we want to be known as a live show. We want to be known as a live show. You know, that is very much the old school idea of the industry when they talk about artist development. That doesn't exist anymore. But that was artist development was preparing you for doing shows, going on the road, touring. And then on this intro, I feel like this is, to me, such an example of how they are musically, because this intro is extremely cinematic. It reminded me of being in grade 10 band, and this is kind of the song I feel like we would be performing. Like, if I was in grade 10 band right now, that I would be bringing this song to my teacher and saying, can we play this? Can this be one of our songs? And this being your intro to your debut album, you know, when you have basically 1.5 singles. Yeah. This is a bold move. You know, I love it, but I got to give them their credit. This is a bold move.
Does it not sound like a Disney movie to you?
100%.
Like right 100%. As it's opening up, it's like it's got the cymbals crashing, you know, like
very cinematic.
You know, it's like, I don't know. It's like Mulan. It's also like kind of like Kingdom Hearts. It's also
I'm
like
thinking Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. Big Beauty and the Beast. So it's like, it's also the Beauty and the Beast concept also feeds into like their general aesthetic. Like when you look at them when they perform, or you look at the album cover, it's like gothic, but also like imperial.
Yes.
Type of like, it's a very they definitely look unique to, I would say, mainstream music currently. But yeah, that intro, it's so like thematic.
Yes.
Like it feels like you're in a theater or you're about to watch a play. Like, and to open it, like you said, like as your debut album's like, yo, the play has begun, is pretty crazy.
That's big time. Yeah. That's big time. That's when I knew they were real. I can't lie to you. That I knew, you know, a minute and 36 seconds into this that this was real. Because one, not only does the intro match the visual of the album cover, which is like, how often do you get into an album and off the intro you're like, okay, it matches. Yeah. You know, like that is extremely rare to have that feeling so quickly. And then making the title track, the intro, and an instrumental, those three things together is like, you know, that's a bold move that is clearly intentional. Yeah. So seeing that intentionality, I knew that they were kind of, you know, thinking ahead with this. And then Burn Alive actually kind of piggybacks off of Prelude to Ecstasy. And the rest of the album doesn't really have that kind of feel of where the songs fade into each other as much. But I think them starting like that, again, just shows that they clearly have thought this through.
Yeah, yes, that's so true. Like the last note that I had when I was like reviewing this or like thinking about it was that I just feel like they have a lot of tricks in the bag. Like I feel like there's so many things where they have like attention to detail.
Yes.
It's so crazy high. Like where you even thinking about a song like Caesar on a TV screen.
I like that one a lot.
Right? Which is basically just like how do I want to describe it? It's kind of, this is one of the songs that made me think of the Arctic Monkeys, actually, when it was like so slow and almost almost like lounge music, right? Which is like modern Arctic Monkeys is like that now. The previous song, like I could pick out the influences on a lot of them. Like the previous song, Burn Alive, was like, oh yeah, Susie and the Banshees, 100%.
Yeah.
Like Spellbound is like basically the template for this type of song. But, you know, something like Caesar on the TV screen is where it's like, it has like, you know, like that coin, like that almost like coin, like jingling sound in the background.
Like a tambourine kind of.
And then the tambourine, and then they kind of flip like halfway through the song, they flip the instrumental, which is basically the hip hop equivalent of a beat switch. This is the rock equivalent of a beat switch that is happening.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Where it picks up its pace, right? And then like the guitar is driving it more versus the vocal melody. So I think that that's what I'm talking about. It's just like these attention to detail, but again, tricks, right? When you're doing rock beat flips.
Rock beat flips. First we had, when you say trap spice, and now we have rock beat flips.
I gotta
making up words every episode.
Trust me, in the future, people would be like listening to this and be like, "Oh yeah, the verbiage like totally makes sense," you know. But yeah, I think that that's one of my favorite things about them is that attention to detail that they have. Where even, you know, like a song like On Your Side, where I feel like it has like, you know, I don't know if is it a synth in that track that On Your Side, or is it just like I've been trying to identify what that harrowing sound in the background is, and
I don't think it's a synth, but I can't tell you what it is.
Yeah, whatever that is in the background, to add to the rest of the track, where it's more of like just a more simplistic indie type of track, is something that I'm really appreciative of, man. I don't know. There's a lot of good things that are happening production-wise.
On Your Side is the first one that I actually made notes on, because a word that I've heard them say a lot is theatrical.
Yeah.
And you see that, of course, in the cover, in the intro, but all over this album is like, they take these influences they have that are mostly rock influences. Like we haven't mentioned any artists who are, I would consider, fusion artists.
Yeah.
You know, these artists are mostly strictly rock, but they take a theatrical turn to it that just kind of turns it up a level. And then On Your Side, they do that a lot. That crescendo in the middle that leads to the instrumental bed at the end is like that whole instrumental bed at the end.
Yeah.
You know, another band might not have that. We just go right into the next song.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a good 30, 40 seconds of almost a whole different song in a sense. And because of the crescendo, it fits as if it's the same part of the song, and it's the cool down of On Your Side. So I like that a lot. Sinner, yo, the guitars.
Sinner is my track, bro.
The guitars on Sinner are so gnarly. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah, Sinner is a track. Like Sinner is a track.
Again, another beat switch song. That one is a serious beat switch song.
Yes.
It's like this really dainty, like almost like Grizzly Bear dainty piano.
Yes.
Right? And then and then all the guitars are so fucking heavy that fall on top of it. I love that song, bro.
Wow.
It's one of the tracks that I feel as though has like real movement to it.
Yes.
The guitars on that, and again, when it's like, you know, I feel like a sin, like me feels like a sin. That's where it really feels like the tracks move. I feel like most of the tracks, you kind of like drop in and you're kind of like waiting around in it.
A little spaced out.
Yeah. But this one feels like there's an actual driving force when it comes to that hook. Like that, the guitar in that really makes it push forwards. But hey, when you're going from it goes from piano led to guitar led. Like it flips. Like every minute it flips.
I was gonna say the progression is in stages, and so you talk about the movement of that song.
Yeah,
that's a part of it, and that's one thing that I always think of is that's a musician thing to know. You know, it's of making a song feel like that, doing something where. Versus piano led, then the guitars come in, then the drums come in, then the guitars come in even a lot more.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like the song is growing in stages.
Yeah. That
it feels like that. So a song like that, I was like, this is clearly a group of women that are musicians.
Musicians, yeah.
You know, like it's not like so. That's again a song like this is like an industry plant can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, this is not an industry plant song to me. And so Sinner is my favorite song on here. It's one of there's a lot you could choose from, but Sinner is one of those where it's like a lot of y'all, a lot of their influences don't have this, and so that was pretty cool to me. My last production notes, and this is probably the song that's a little bit different for me, but again, I love all their choices. Is Mirror. It's actually the least played song on Spotify.
Yeah,
which I think kind of makes sense because it is different.
Yes,
from everything else. But it really reminded me of 2012 Lana Del Rey. That is really what Mirror is giving, and I just love that they have that on there as just one of those. I like it as its own. I don't if that was the whole project.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would love it as much.
True.
Maybe some people would, but I personally wouldn't. But I think that's an amazing as an outro. I think that's it's like literally like a calm down, matching with the intro being what it is. This is like also very instrumental, very kind of like string led, but much calmer, much calmer. So Mirror, I love as the outro, and it's not often we bring up Lana Del Rey on this podcast. We haven't reviewed any of her projects.
Yeah, no.
We don't mention her as an influence.
No,
we haven't done anything with her on Soundbites.
No, we haven't.
So her first mention episode, I don't even know what we're at right now.
We're at like 150, 160.
Happy to give her a mention because Mirror, as soon as I heard it, I literally was like, did they play Lana Del Rey after this?
Yeah.
And then, I saw, so I like Mirror a lot.
I think I like this review for us personally because we get to pull out the names that nobody thinks that we would be pulling on. Grizzly Bear, Lana Del Rey, Susie and the Banshees. Yes, we listen to those people too.
They didn't know we had those.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, yes, we listen to them too. They're just not, I would just say that form of music is not the most popular form of music currently.
Yes.
Right? But yes, we're listening to, again, I gave Folklore 9 out of 10. Right? I brought my Maria's Super Clean record. We're listening to this music.
Yeah, if people who have been here since the beginning of album mode, we know you know what it is.
Yeah.
This whole rant is for the new people.
Yeah,
okay?
for the new people.
This is for the new folks.
But even in the outro for Mirror, it has like that same theatrical type of outro, and it loops to the beginning. Right, it's got these really, really lonely pianos, and then the violins come in. So they're really good with progressive music, right? Really, really, really good progressions. And when you're making stuff that's orchestral, basically, especially the intro and the outro, you have to understand your progressions, or it's just gonna sound whack. Right. So I think that they're really good at that too. Mirror is one of those songs that I'm not a Lana Del Rey fan. I hate to break it to people. I did not think that she should have won the Grammy either. Okay. I'm not a Lana Del Rey person, but I did love the outro overall. I would say I accepted Mirror. I accepted Mirror. I accept it. I think it was that song and Portrait of a Dead Girl are the only two songs where I was like,
Take or leave it?
Yeah. I think Portrait of the Dead Girl mostly is just like, it's okay. I think it's because all of the other songs have such great, brilliant ideas that I'm like, Portrait of a Dead Girl, I'm like, it's a rock song, whatever.
I was going to say, it's not bad, honestly.
Yeah, it's not bad.
But I think, and this is so funny, I think because we actually listen to rock, this is a song we've heard before. Yeah. And this album isn't full of those. So I think that's part of why it feels like that, because this one, we've been begging for rock to come back every time we review a rock album. You know what I mean? No, literally, we always beg for it to come back. And it's like, we would love a song like Portrait of a Dead Girl, I think, in other circumstances. But on this project, where we're getting so much cool stuff, it feels a little bit less. But I think to the fans of The Last Dinner Party, this is probably one of their favorites, I think. Because I can't guarantee that, this group is listening to all the bands we just named, all the acts we just named. Yeah. Most people in this band are pretty young. And so it's like, my thought is that I would say that some of the people who are fans of Last Dinner Party are learning about some of the groups that we're naming or even not naming through this band.
Yeah, that's true.
And someone like us, we're coming in with that knowledge, but I think probably most of their fans are like, oh my God, who are the Arctic Monkeys?
Yeah. Or Grizzly Bear. Grizzly bear, they're just
Yeah, true. I'm like, I'm trying to think of a way they would know, but I'm like,
if you were listening to Childish Gambino back then, and then he did that like song over the Grizzly Bear track, that's the only way.
That's a you're asking for a lot.
So you had to watch Atlanta and be like, who is that guy Fern? And then go back through Community, and then back through like his entire discography. Even
there's literally no way.
Like
there's literally no way. Listen,
you had to grow up at that time to know.
I've seen like 5 TikToks of people not knowing who Killer Mike was. So
yo, my cousin. Shout out to my cousin who
Same?
She is like 18. She's turning 19. She was like, who the fuck is Killer Mike? This was yesterday, bro.
This is just an aside because maybe we had the talk, but someone was wearing a Run the Jewels shirt.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, you don't know who Run the Jewels is? And I was like, you think you don't know who Run the Jewels is? Yeah. It's a problem.
Yeah. But I had to introduce her to Run the Jewels. I'm like, if you get a chance, spin it.
Yeah.
So,
but we digress. Is there anything else production wise you have? Because I have something in lyrics that I want to touch on.
I think this one crosses into lyrics a little bit. Is where My Lady of Mercy. Mm-hmm. This is basically another one of those. This is probably the heaviest song on the entire heaviest production wise. I don't know about lyrics.
Yeah, okay.
Right, where it has this really interesting contrast because of the vocal style that is throughout this entire album, which is like just Susie and the Banshees. It's like literally this. I don't want to say the same, but heavily inspired, right?
Heavily inspired, yeah.
So when you're hearing that and you're getting these really, again, like they like to go from almost like dainty to I'm just gonna drop like the dirtiest, muddiest guitar
literally
on your head. I think that is one of those songs where it goes from like very like light and brisk like guitars, and it's very sunny. Her singing is like it's almost hurried, and then there's a pause. And then it's like wails, like she's like Abigail's wailing. Yeah. The guitars are like again muddy as fuck, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like everything becomes so slow, but the wailing she's not wailing, but her singing is wail like.
Yeah. And the song kind of actually slows down compared to the verses.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. So I just like that contrast that is happening in that song because they basically that's the song. Basically, it's those two things flipping over and over and over. So I really like that. So that's like the vocal style to go from like this hurried style of singing to more of a exasperated or like a wail is cool to me.
I want to give a big shout out to James Ford because I love the drums on this project.
Yeah,
on basically every song. My Lady of Mercy is one of them as well. So I want to give him a shout out because how often do we have an album where we can shout out someone who's actually playing the drums? So if we can, let's do it. So big shout out to him. One thing I thought was so interesting, the more I got to learn about them, was again, go back to this girl group thing, this girl band thing. And it was like the first group of women to do this, the first girl band to do this. And there was a lot of, I don't want to say artificial stats, but a lot of those stats that are centered around a girl group or a girl band doing this. And I thought, is 5 women playing instruments so mind-breaking that we have to, treat it like this? And then I thought there is something here because I think their lyrics fit more into that. Yeah. That makes more sense that people are calling them a girl band or a girl group.
Yeah.
And a song like Feminine Urge, I think is one that I think of a lot because they have this kind of awareness in their lyrics that, feels more seasoned than a young debut artist.
Yeah.
And on Feminine Urge, they say, "Oh, ballerina, bend under the weight of it all. Ain't it fun to hold the world in your hands? Do you feel like a man when I can't talk back? Do you want me or do you want control? Failure to commit to the role, I admit, was a failure you achieved on your own. Do you want me to care when you just disappear?" That is very much like, a kind of back and forth in a relationship, but also she's attacking the power dynamic, the idea of you want to have control here. You want me to be small and frail while you be strong. And I think that this being kind of not on every single song, but there are kind of like, touches of this in their music. This is such a huge level of self-awareness. And I think the way that they attack it is very nice. Like I think it's very smart, it's very cunning. It doesn't kind of bear you over the head. I think these songs don't come off as political or overly feminist. Even the Feminine Urge doesn't feel like an overly feminist song. As a man, I wasn't like,
No, but what they're writing is like you could very much be like, yo, a woman is writing this hard body.
Exactly.
Like a guy could you could so many of the lyrics where I'm like, a guy is not thinking about shit like this in that way.
And I think the main thing why that's so impressive to me is because we are in an age where, not even an age, for decades, men have written songs for women. Whether it's Neil writing for Beyonce or Party writing for Megan Cardi.
Or Lil Yachty writing for City Girls.
Yeah, it's been happening for a long time. And that is for a certain kind of song.
Yeah.
A man is not right at the Feminine Urge.
Yeah.
And so that, I think, I'm happy you helped me get there, because that's what I'm trying to put is clearly written by women in the way that it's written and the subject matter. Because it's not as if men don't write songs for women. But
that's true.
A song like this,
not like that.
No man's writing
Drake
that.
writes songs for women. How about that? Drake does write songs for women.
Can't talk about Drake right now.
And Drake's music does not sound like this.
Can't talk about Drake right now. Drake's on a little embargo.
The leaked songs by Drake.
Too soon.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I'm sorry. Yeah, their writing is super strong. Like, it's actually incredibly strong, and again, is very feminine. And in a way, again, dudes would just like not think about like relationship dynamics, or any of the dudes that I've listened to recently, not thinking about relationship dynamics in this way. And even somebody like Olivia Rodrigo, who I feel like writes music about relationships.
Yeah.
Not this level of maturity, complexity, poetry.
And I believe they're around the same age.
Yeah, they're all like 22, like 22, 23. Like, they're all young. Even Olivia Rodrigo, she's like 21, right? But the complexity and the poetry that is happening in this is next level. I mean, I think my favorite like song that was like just songwriting is "Burn Alive," where they're like, "Wine is on your blouse." Also, this album's mad gay. I don't think we've ever
we did not
mention that. This album is mad gay, right?
Definitely.
It's a group of all women writing about loving other women.
Yeah.
And "Burn Alive" basically in the first line is like, "Wine is on your blouse." If you didn't know that, men don't really wear blouses, so that they don't have to be explicit with it, but they kind of just like, they already told you right off the bat. "Wine is on your blouse. You think it's so romantic, but in reality, we're both just addicts. I'm not the girl I set out to be. Let me make my grief a commodity. Do what I can to survive. There is candle wax melting in my veins, so I keep myself standing in your flames. Burn me alive. I'm at the stake. Petrol, my perfume, bite marks on my back. I never could say no. I don't want you to hurt me. You don't want to hurt me, sorry. But I want you to. I'll break off my rib to make another you. You make me bite my tongue, and now the blood in my glass." Okay, and then now blood in my glass. Will you buy me a new one? This is too good to last. There's more that I even want to go into, but petrol my like, burn me alive. I'm at the stake. Petrol my perfume.
Crazy.
That's so good, bro. Like, it's actually so next level. To say that, like, yo, like, you want them to burn you alive, you want them to hurt me, and I'm going to even add extra. Just give me a little extra, just a little extra on top. I love that, because there's like a level of like, throughout their entire album, there's a level I think of like self-hatred, but also loving a person, but also trying to like reconcile those two things at the same time.
To me, this is actually what being toxic means. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you like someone, but you hate that you like them, or hate that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a hate-love circle. And then in the chorus, you said it. She said, "Let me make my grief a commodity. Do what I can to survive." It's like there's a sense of martyrdom, of like, I'm killing myself just to be in love with you.
Yeah.
So you're right. It is some self-hate in there, some self-harm in there in a sense. But this is like, and this is the part I think is so funny is the I guess tinge of martyrdom in the lyrics is where I feel like it feels more feminine to me.
Right.
You know, I don't think a man would think of himself as a martyr for being in something toxic. You know, it's almost like there's a little bit of pride in the toxicity in a different way. You know, and so I think that's the difference is it's like they could be talking about the same relationship. You know, this could be, you know, Last Dinner Party featuring Brent Faiyaz. Like, it could be the same topic, but I think the perspective is what we're seeing a lot here. And I said this on the last podcast. I'll say it on this one. When an artist says something from their perspective that you can tell is unique, whether it's their intersection or what they've been through, that's where the best music comes from. Yeah. So why this sounds so good is like, you know, they could have written this song in a perspective that everyone could relate to, you know, that would have been more basic. That wouldn't be as good of a song. This being, you know, so directed and so intentional makes this song so good, even if some people can't relate to it.
Yeah. And then there's this song, Sinner, right?
The
Sinner.
banger.
The banger. I think this is probably my favorite song, just like bar none of theirs. So on top of what I said in the production section, this is not the lyric section where she's like, I wish I knew you back when we were both small. I wish I knew you, but I've gotten too tall. I wish I knew you when touch was innocent. I wish I knew you before it felt like a sin. Felt like a sin before it felt like a sin. That's the hook. Felt like a sin. That section again. I'm trying. Maybe I don't want to overstate it, but I feel as though there's like a religious aspect to this, right? The fact that it's called Sinner and this felt like a sin. And again, this album is mad gay. So I feel as though
you're doing the right math.
Right? I'm feeling as though there's like a religious self-hatred that is happening.
In this song especially.
In this song in particular, there's this religious self-hatred that is happening because like you're gay and you're trying to deal with that homosexuality and actually being attracted to somebody. But wanting to be in it. Like they definitely want to be in.
It's I wish. Like
I
wish.
They're like, oh, like I'm gonna burn in the flames. It's like, hold on, let me put like the petrol on me a little bit. Just like let it singe.
If I gotta burn, I gotta burn. Like that. You know what? It's a good point. That's what it is. It's like there's some guilt there. There's some shame there that comes, you know, from the religious group.
But we gotta do what we gotta do.
Yeah. Gotta see it through, my boy. Like that's kind of what this is like there's some regret in this song of like, you know, I wish that I was confident enough. I wish I could let myself feel those feelings when I initially had them. Yeah. You know, and then there's a part of it's like, yeah, that shame didn't go away, you know? It's like it maybe has dimmed, but it's not gone. But that ain't gonna stop me. And I think that is kind of the main thing you see this album is mad gay. It's like I feel like that's a big part of it is like there's all these feelings attached to the feelings itself. It's not just a simple I like you, you like me. Yeah. There's always a sprinkle of religious shame or toxicity, you know, something. Yeah. And then at the end of it, it's like, I'm still here. I'm still about this life though. Which I love. So that's what I'm saying. The complexity, bro. No one is too young to be toxic. Yeah. There's a toxicity of self to other people, rumination on like what it means to, you know, like maybe there's even that aspect of like, you know, I wish I met you like before I was so tall, right? Like before like even like having these sort of like ideas and stuff like that. I wish I just met them just like, you know, when we were younger, so it wasn't like as serious. Yes. You don't have to think as seriously about the things that are happening and stuff like that. So I think that's what I'm talking about, where I'm like, yo, the level of complexity to the lyrics is really high, even though that there isn't too much lyrics. If you really read each song, there's a lot of repetition. Like even in Sinners, like there's so much times where it's just like, you know, pray for me on your knees before it felt like sin. Those lyrics get repeated so many times, right? But it works. You know, they're really good songwriters, man. I think that's like there's so much good about this project. That's one of the things that I feel like is undeniable. No matter what your taste is musically, you know, the songwriting is so undeniable. Yes, absolutely. This is my last bit of lyrics. I'm just calling an audible here, but we have not talked about Nothing Matters Enough. And that's true. and I do want to talk about definitely the chorus for sure, but the song as a whole. It's a very like euphoric, triumphant feeling. Yeah. And it's you know, we're talking about all these songs being kind of odd love songs. This is an odd love song in the other way. Yeah. This is like all love all the time, type of love. And I think sonically, this you know, doesn't feel like what you think of as a love song. You know, it's not like the ballad or the slow waltz of a love song. So I like that they took, you know, a different take on that. But I want to highlight the chorus, okay?
Yeah.
In the chorus, she says, "And you can hold me like he held her. I will fuck you like nothing matters. You can hold me like he held her. I will fuck you like nothing matters." That is one that's up there, okay? I will fuck you like nothing matters. That's a fuck right there. Like that is, you know,
that's true. That's top tier.
And you talked about them not overwriting.
Yeah.
This is what I thought of when you said that. Like I thought of this song because the simple sentence of "I will fuck you like nothing matters." You don't need to explain that. That to everyone, that might be a different explanation.
Yeah.
But we all understand what that means.
Yeah.
And so I think it kind of reminds me of Frank Ocean in a way, how he used to have some of these lines in the Channel Orange era, where it's like, yeah, like you just said this thing that I've heard a million times, but you said it in a way that feels different.
Yeah.
And Abigail did say she wrote this song in the middle of their relationship while being in love, kind of at that moment. And so I feel like you kind of feel that in the song. Like it feels something written in the moment. It's not as much retrospective. So I love their writing all over this project.
Yeah.
And I think Nothing Matters, it's not my favorite song on here, but as the first single to lead us into this, even hearing it now, great job.
Yeah, I think that the single, it's the single,
yes,
like the single for them. And I think that it's perfect as a single because the songs that we talked about before, there's a level of depth.
Yes.
Sonically, lyrically, thematically, that like is so hard to spin into like something that's digestible. But this one song, I feel like it's stripped back enough, but the songwriting is still strong.
Yeah.
Where you can have lyrics like the one that you mentioned. That lyric is always funny to me because I think because I've been listening to hip hop my entire life. So when people are like, "Oh my God, this lyric is like, it just hits you in the face. I can't believe," you know, or like it's. I think in one of their interviews is like, "There's something powerful about hearing a woman say fuck." I'm like, bro, what music do you listen to? Like,
yeah, I've heard that before.
I've been hearing that since I was like a kid, like listening to literally any hip hop song ever. Right. So I think that there is
They never heard Lil Kim.
I guess not. I guess not, right? You never heard Eve before in their life. I just think that I think that's just like a cool, like an interesting genre dynamic at play where it's like coming from like I've talked before about my home genre is hip hop. To listen to this and be like, wow, that's the scandalous line. That's what everybody's talking about. Like she said, fuck one time.
I think too. I guess we can talk about the project as a whole and the cohesiveness, but I think that them being so young and them being all women, that's
throwing people for a loop. Big time.
I think that's how people are talking about them. I don't know. I want to say they're giving it kid gloves, but it is a version of kid gloves. They're talking about this group talking about them with those kid gloves because they're clearly seasoned musicians.
Yeah,
they're clearly seasoned songwriters, and they clearly have been through some things.
Yeah,
as you can see in their music. So it's like their music is past the way people talk about them as if they're like, you know, preteens.
Yeah, because they're new and they're young. So people are like, it's gonna sound like somebody who's new and young. But you can, you know, people are like just, even if they're not just like totally seasoned, like they've been doing shit for 40 years, like T-Pain or like some shit like that.
Yeah.
You can just be amazing songwriter. Like you just be a talented songwriter that's just like incredible at the craft, right? Music, especially today, is proliferated by young people. And I think that people don't understand is like, we're talking about people in their 20s, 21, 22. Like these people are actually technically like prodigies in what they do.
And the other thing on top of that is I think that's more a separation between the musician and the casual fan.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as a musician, most musicians, we start playing young. You know, like I started playing the drums when I was 9.
Yeah.
Which is technically late. You know? So
yeah,
most people,
exactly.
you know, most people who do play instruments, you start playing from young. So at 20 years old, you've been playing whatever instrument you've been playing for over a decade.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think that the casual fan somehow thinks that these kids pick up the instruments at 18 or something. Like, you know what I mean? which obviously doesn't make sense. But I think this is an example that you're seeing, how talented they are and how kind of even ahead of their peers they are. Because I thought about Olivia Rodrigo a lot while listening to this, and I was like, we love Olivia Rodrigo's album, but they are just
they're at a different level, completely different level. I think that that one song, Nothing Matters, having the word fuck in it, it's the only song that has swearing in it.
I didn't notice that.
It's the only song that has swearing in it. And again, I just think about like rock overall. There isn't as much swearing. Like if you were to compare genres, right? Just like go genre to genre, I think rock is probably on like the lower end.
That's
when it comes to swearing in its lyrics. And hip hop again, where it's literally like if you hear a song on 2K, you're like 30 seconds of just no lyrics. You know what I mean? Like, so there's like a difference where this song can like Nothing Matters is in EAFC, right? And there's one lyric that you have to bleep. You're not gonna hear like a milli.
No.
In EAFC because you're gonna have to bleep the entire fucking song, right?
Yes.
So there's that element. So like when they do swear, it's like, oh my God.
Yes.
We just heard 20-year-old white women swearing? What's happening to this world?
I'm screaming. And it's intentional. I think that's the big part of it too is where swearing is so scarce, it's intentional of like, this is to make a point. Yeah. So that's that as well. I think cohesively, this project is great. I think there's really a theme here, kind of also fits a visual. I think this is an easy listen as well. Like 40 minutes, 12 songs. Yeah. What year is this?
I know.
So I think for that, this to me cohesively, thematically, they knocked it out of the park. But again, the more that I, looked them up and learned about them, that doesn't surprise me as much. And I think these rumors, allegations, we'll say, are more people that's not being informed. Because they said that they've had this idea and this whole thing about the band and these songs for, at minimum 2 years. Right. Nothing Matters was written 2 years ago. And so it's like, yeah, that makes sense. If, they've had all this time to think about this, go through this. Usually when artists take 2 years to do an album, we say, okay, they took their time with it, even if it's album 3 or 4. This is their first project that they've been, planning on for their whole lives, essentially. So, yeah, they with terms of cohesiveness and, a sound, they knocked out the park.
Yeah, there's that saying that it's like it takes your whole life to write your first album, and then it takes like 2 years to write your second. And 100%. I think that their first album, they definitely putting their whole fucking life into it, because I've the level of like emotionality that goes to what they do. When I listen to their album, I feel like I watched like an episode of Skins, bro.
Oh my God.
It's just next level. I feel like so many emotions just being tugged and pulled and stretched in so many different ways. And I think that it goes through all the way. Like I don't think there's ever a reprieve.
There's no break.
There's no break to be like, all right, we're going to rest. And we're just like, I think Nothing Matters is probably the closest thing that you get to a break emotionally. Yeah. And that's the song where people are swearing. Oh my God.
I was gonna say it's not even a break because it's the high emotions.
Yeah. So I think that overall, when it comes to like the thematically or even just like cohesion, is A1. It's A1. It has this very distinct feel, like I mentioned, and also like production wise, everything goes together like perfectly. Like it's hard to make something that sounds theatrical without it sounding cheesy.
And then they did that. Right?
Like they skated that line where it sounds like the opening is like a play, or there's parts in like, Portrait of a Dead Girl where the violins make it sound very dramatic and almost like you're running through a field and stuff like that. But it never is melodramatic.
Yes.
Right? Everything is appropriately dramatic for its situation. And that's hard to nail down. So all of those things, I'm like, yo, the cohesion on this is on a whole nother level, man.
Yeah, it's giving a lot more Succession than Young and the Restless.
Exactly.
So yeah, they definitely did a good job with
that.
Shout
out to Victor.
Stop it. I mean, half our listeners are like, who is he talking about? Let's talk about the cover. I love the cover a lot.
Me too.
I'm just focused on everything on this, like ledge right here. Like, yeah, their outfits are great. Like, the boots that she's got on with the straps all the way up to the knees.
Yep.
Like, they're all in
these huge dresses.
Yeah, but this little sill they have, everything on it, that's what I'm focused on. So much going on there. So much going on there. And I think, like, this is also, again, a bold move for a first debut project. Because I think that there's a world where someone doesn't know that's the group. And I think that is what makes this cover so cool to me. There's a world where you see this cover and you think it's just a picture. You know, and this could be whoever, a Hosier album. You know what I mean? Like, so I like that they did that because all that stuff on the front gives that energy of like, this is just a picture of someone's house and this is what they have on their wall.
Yeah.
More than this is the group. So, I think, again, risky again for a debut project, but what's risk to these girls, man?
I know.
Like,
it almost like they kind of almost memorialize themselves on the first album. Like,
yeah.
It's in this really like old picture frame. Like this photo of them as a group, right? And all these like these big floral dresses are like in another old frame surrounded by like candles and flowers and stuff like that. It's like they're dead, right? And this is the first album.
Yeah.
So I do think it's brilliant that every single person's face is on it. Right.
Yes.
Because when you're dropping your first album, you want everybody to know that it's you. And when it's really fucking good, you definitely want people to know that shit is you.
Facts.
So I'm happy with the cover. I think the cover looks incredible. They should probably like, I kind of wish that you could get like an alternate version of just the photo.
Picture?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that the cover overall looks fantastic, but you would want to put your photo, your album cover in its own surrounding, you know what I mean? So it still looks great though.
Of course, I'm going to ask you if you're getting the vinyl, but
this is a vinyl cop easily, I think.
It is for me as well. The face I just made is that I think I see they're signed to Universal, which we're going to talk about in sound bites, but maybe I can see if I can get someone to send me a copy of this.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, because it's definitely a vinyl cop. That's more of the story. It's a vinyl cop for sure.
Very, very easily. Like it's not even. I don't even think it's really a question.
No, the cover, the music, sonically, it just.
If you heard it, see, here's the thing. Not that many people is gonna hear it because listen to the people that we reference. We reference Lana Del Rey, Susie and the Banshees, Grizzly Bear. Who else did we reference? One more other person. Arctic Monkeys. So not the most visible influences, and they're making indie rock music, which is, again, not the most popular form of music. So it's like, if you don't hear it, you wouldn't cop it.
You did facts.
But if you hear it, it's like an insta-cop, I think. So that's how I feel about it.
I know, I agree with you. I think this is one of the most easy cops we've had.
In a long time.
In a long time. Because this to me is an automatic, no question. And like, I'm looking up all the different covers they have while we're talking. That's also the thing. This cover is so nice, but if you could get an alternate version of this cover or multiple covers, like for the art as well, this like I would love to see what art they have in the vinyl that comes with this. Because some vinyls have a poster or something like that. So that would be nice. So, a lot of reasons to get this.
All right. So now, the moment of truth. What the indie heads have been waiting for, the people who have never watched album mode.
Our indie on Reddit.
Yeah, our indie heads on Reddit. But also the people, this is basically people that have never heard the podcast are probably going to be listening to this episode. So, the moment they've all been waiting for, the score.
Yes.
Adriel. What is your score?
The Last Dinner Party, Prelude to Ecstasy. This is a 9 for me.
Okay.
I wanted you to talk me down off of this high score. That obviously did not happen. I don't have, honestly, any problems with this project. This is one of my easiest listens I've had in a long time. And this is an album that I was excited to listen to more than once. I think that this is probably one of the best singles we've had of like an album's lead single actually being good quality, properly representing the project, and actually being the right choice for the single. We didn't talk about that because I think that was clear. Like, that was a great choice. They didn't have to change that. There is some range on here in a very unique way where I guess if you're not an indie fan or a rock fan, this is all the same to you. This is all one. But I think if you are in tune, you can see the different influences on each track and how they take it to another level. The musicality on this project may be my favorite in a long time. And we got to hear real drums on a project. I'm always a sucker for real drums.
Yeah.
So real drums, great musicality. Love the cover, love the cohesiveness. This might be my new jeans. How you were all new jeans. I might be like, this might be my new algorithm is all the last dinner party because I'm so in on them. Whenever they come to Toronto,
they'd be sick to go to
angelsmile.com, find me. So this is a 9 for me. Obviously, it's extremely early, but I feel this is going to be in my album of the year top 10.
Yeah.
I feel very confident in that.
Okay, so I'm right there with you. This is a 9 out of 10 for me. I think that songwriting, brilliant. Production is brilliant. I think the only thing that holds it back from like a 10 out of 10, because then people always ask, bro. When you give it like a 9 out of 10, people are like,
why not a 10?
Why is it a 10 out of 10?
True, you should say why.
So the only reason why is because of Portrait of a Dead Girl, where I'm like, it's because of everything else being so brilliant. We gotta, if we're gonna do 10 out of 10, it's all gotta be brilliant.
Okay.
Right?
Fair.
And I think that one is just like basically just, it's all right. Right? It's all right. But when it comes to the songwriting, overall, the songwriting is so amazing. It's poetic, right? There's parts where like, again, Nothing Matters, they swear, and we're like, oh, why is swearing so important? It's like, well, this is the only time they actually swear on the album. It's the grappling with religion, even though like I don't think they ever state like say God or anything like that.
No.
But it's implicitly like
yes.
mentioned where like this grapple with religion and like homosexuality and just like love in general, like, and the fact that it's like totally like queer music. Like there's just so many things that are happening at the same time, but it's a great wrestle. And I feel like, don't get overwhelmed, right? But I do feel like, holy shit, I'm being like pulled in a bunch of different directions. Again, it feels like musical skins to me.
Yes.
Right? So I think that the songwriting is incredible, production. I've been a huge Susie and the Banshees fan for a long time.
That was a great pull,
right?
In terms of the singing style.
Yeah. So seriously, when Burned Alive came on, I'm like, Susie and the Banshees right there. I see it. I see you. It was like,
gotcha.
Like in
oh my god,
the Leonardo DiCaprio movie. Like that was it for me. I'm like, I see it immediately, right? And to be able to repurpose that into this form where like the songwriting is super strong. Not to say that Susie's songwriting isn't strong, but yeah, it's the singing style, the lyrics, the production, what I like to call the the beat switches that are happening. It's obviously just progressions, but I call them beat switches because it feels like a beat switch.
Yeah.
Those are great too. Like, bro, if you're listening to this and you don't like it and you like music, I don't get it. I don't understand why you wouldn't like it.
Yeah, this would go as an early suggestion for people. Like, if you're looking for a new artist, new music, this is an automatic suggestion. Yeah. Please tap in. I like where we're starting off the year. I feel like we're getting some good albums. We had Benny last week. Who did we have the week before that? I feel like it was an album that we 21 Savage. So we're getting some good music. I love that you brought this suggestion because they're easily become one of my favorite bands immediately. Yeah. So I'm happy we got to review them. For anyone who's made it this far into the podcast, you know what to do. Leave us a rating and a review, 5 stars, not a single star less. Of course, find us on the interwebs at Album Mode Pod on Twitter, at Album Mode Pod on Instagram, at Album Mode Pod on TikTok. Of course, on YouTube as well. You're watching us. We're here for a reason. Find us on YouTube at Album Mode. Subscribe, like, leave us a comment. All the Last Dinner Party fans, please tap in.
Tap in, yeah.
Tap in. put us where it needs to go. The right Reddit, the right board. Please tap in. And of course, until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Later days.